And welcome back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
And we're back again this week. 1 week closer to my birthday.
But, your birthday is Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, but she celebrates all month.
Well, you know, just fireworks at the beginning of the month. There's apparently my birthday is also National Ice Cream Day.
That might be why you only wanted to eat ice cream.
Yeah.
Ringo Starr's birthday was the 7th, and Tom Hanks' birthday was the 9th.
Oh. And
So
who
you're
did
in
I
good
share
company.
a birthday with? There was somebody. Oh, Gabriel Iglesias. That was my birthday.
That's why I always love the fact that John Lennon's birthday was the day before mine. So
Yeah.
at midnight, you could sing that song, "Birthday."
Yeah.
You say it's your birthday. Well, it's my birthday too.
No,
Yeah.
that doesn't work. Because at 11:59 it was his
know,
birthday,
but-
and at midnight then it would be your birthday, so it doesn't work. You don't share a birthday. No. But anyway, so we're here. I know I wore this shirt. And you're confused. You're like, is this last week or this week? I wore this shirt
because
last
I
week.
wasn't clashing with the tablecloth last
But
week.
yeah, they were kind of. I don't know what this is going on, but I had to wear this shirt.
Summery,
again.
like melons. Like melons and lemons and limes and oranges.
That's New Mexico color. This is melon.
And you clash with the
And
tablecloth.
I clashed with the tablecloth.
So that wasn't well planned. But no, I had to wear this again because I finished this beautiful yarn and I'm so excited. A long time ago, I think I showed you, I'll take it out of the bag. I showed you this fiber from a mill here in Arizona called Ranch of the Oaks. And it's this gorgeous, it's all their mill ends. It's alpaca and sheep and everything in between. Llama, some llama in there. And so I have a friend who's an old schoolmate. She's a pianist. And I found out that she knits. And we haven't been in super touch between school and like when we all had kids. And then I started following her on Facebook. Anyway, so then I found out she knits. And one day she was painting her house and she was auditioning paint colors. And one of them was called hand spun yarn. And she's like, I think that's for the win. And I said, I could actually send you some hand spun yarn. She's like, really? And I said, yeah. So anyway, so I decided I had 2 of these and I decided to spin one up for her. And here it is. It's about fingering weight. I'll put in some close-up pictures, but it came out just beautiful. It's barber poled because, you know, all those colors in there, they wind up just twisting and then twisting again around themselves. So, but some is lighter, some is darker. Oop, it's still a little bit wet. But anyway, I had fun doing that. This week we had a craft week, a craft day with Rachel again at her house. Oh, right. And I'll put in some pictures here. I was working on plying this, and they were working on cross stitch, and Rachel was making flower pens. And so I started plying that day, and then that was, what was that, Tuesday? Wednesday morning, yeah. And then I got this done a couple days ago. In about a day and a half, 2 days, I got it plied. I had started spinning it a while ago and left it, and then it's kind of nice, like at the end of the day, like I try to work on my knitting projects, and then at the end of the day when I'm kind of done, but I'm still up and want to finish watching the movie I'm watching, I would sit and spin a little bit. So then I went ahead and decided to finish it. So I am the yarnologist today. But I guess I need to hang this up because it's still a little bit wet.
Remember Beth and I were just talking about Sherry, the woman that's doing the virtual cross stitch camp.
Uh-huh.
On her video yesterday, you know, she owns the Loopy U yarn store.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so she was talking about how people say, well, you know, once I try silks or hand-dyed, over-dyed threads or something, you know, I may not want to go back to DMC. And she goes, I look at it like hand-dyed yarn and commercially dyed yarn, and because those skeins are bigger, you can kind of see more.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was showing, you know, the commercially dyed yarn. She says it's all one color. There's no color variation. It's solid. But the hand-dyed stuff has variations in color.
Yeah.
And so she showed them made up. One made up with commercially dyed yarn and one made up with hand dyed yarn, and you can see, the variations. And that's one of the things that, when you're deciding whether or not to use DMC or the called for colors, if you're looking at the pattern and that pattern has, an overdyed floss in a very small area, you're not going to see the variations in it. You might as well use the DMC there.
Yeah.
But she was explaining it like that, and about silks. She said, if you want to try silks, try it on something where there's just one color. And of course, I've seen people on Cross Stitch Camp, talking about that. Do you know a pattern with just one color?
Well, that's what I'm doing, because that January, the monthly thing that Ink Circles put out, the monthly, they're all very small. They're like, this big-ish, 51 by 51 or 57 by 57, something like that. And they're designed in silks. Now there is a conversion, for with DMC and weeks, I think, or something like that. So you could use the conversion, but there's also a silk table, and it uses for all 12 months. Uses about approximately 12 colors, but the January one that I'm doing uses just 2 colors. And so I went ahead and bought the silks for those just to do.
So the silk yarn, though, it doesn't feel like what you think of as silk, like a silk scarf, right? Is it kind of nubby, or is it?
No, it's very smooth and very
silky. Okay.
Yeah.
So the other things I brought to talk about are, I just brought these. I don't know why. They were sitting on my way out of the house. I made these for Hannah. Obviously, she doesn't have them in Boston where it's cold. I made them thinking that it would help warm her hands like on a cold day, but she could still play in them. But I think they're too bulky for her to play in. But anyway, so they're hanging around my house, and every once in a while my cat steals one. But I just brought these. I'm so proud of them. It's like this is actually my second attempt at Fair Isle knitting. I'll put in a close-up picture of these. It's got, and Fair Isle means the pattern. Each row has 2 colors on it. Most of the rows have 2 color, and you alternate to make different patterns in the glove. And the reason I say second one is the first one I made this for her in bright, like, neon colors, because she loved those colors when she was young. And then I made these for her when she went to college, thinking they were a little more sophisticated. She could wear them to rehearsal if she needed to. But I think it just wasn't, like I said, I think the bulk in here just made it not, she didn't want to play in them. But so anyway, I've kind of adopted them to keep my hands warm when my hands are achy. But anyway, so this is from a book called Fearless Fair Isle Knitting. And the reason I did these is because it was the only project I was brave enough to start. Because they're all like sweaters and bigger things. And they had these mitts, and I was like, oh, I can do that. So anyway, that's my show and tell. And today I am working on Rachel's shawl. So I brought it out of its rotation to bring today. But that's me. Oh, I have, let's see here, one of these bags. I talked about, maybe I didn't talk about it, but I bought, in one of our many excursions out, I bought this kit. Hanging with my nomies.
I was going to ask you if you had that one. I couldn't remember.
I did. I bought it the other day when we were there. Remember, you handed it to me, and I was like, okay. And I bought it. I started it. I just started the peach on the center gnome's nose.
Have you worked any more on that, Santa?
Oh, no. No, but I need to take I need to get one of those, what are they called? Thread drop cards and make thread drops out of all that.
I have some.
But I haven't worked on it again because I decided I need to really work on this knitting stuff and get it.
But you
get her done.
Pick it up sometime.
Like I said, I want to have peace. I want to have peace on August 15th in my mind, but I don't know if it's going to happen. But maybe I'll have a little bit more peace.
August 15th.
Well, that's when that mystery knit along starts.
Oh yeah.
and I broke down and caked up those yarns. Like almost the day after we recorded or something, I was like, I'm gonna put them in cakes just because I wanted to play with them. And I did them twice. I wound it into a ball, and then I took the ball and wound it back again to get it kind of a little bit more relaxed. And my whole desk was covered in fuzz because, as the yarn runs through the ball winder and it's on the Swift, all the little fuzzies just. My shirt was covered. Everything. It's fun though.
Kind of when you're when you're working with batting.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, this fiber. When I washed this yarn the other night, yeah, it's still wet. When I washed this yarn, I put out because I let the water go, and I'm like, that's really dirty, because there's vegetable matter in here, what we call VM. And stuff that you kind of pick out as you spin it. You can kind of, I don't see a lot right now, but it's in there
because it's from a live animal.
Well, yeah, and it's washed and cleaned, but it's still there's still a little bit in there. But I was real surprised because when I went to squeeze out the yarn, the water was running brown, and I'm like, ooh, I better rinse this again. So I rinsed it a couple of times. So I'm gonna tell Nina, look, whatever you knit up, don't get shocked if the water's a little dirty. I think it'll be pretty clean now. But yeah, I'm excited to send it to her. But anyway, that's me on a Saturday.
I want to go next because I don't have very much. Had I burned my hand by the time when we did the video last week?
Yeah, you were crying about it, and we talked about burns and skin grafts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so
tune in next week for more medical fears.
So the next day was the 4th of July, so I had to put away all of my, I had to put away my sewing machine and
I'm stuck. Magnet.
Oh, I was like, what's wrong? I thought you'd cut your fabric
I get stuck to my magnet all the time.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I try to like, it never fails. I'll be like going to, do a kind of a close snip, and the magnet grabs my scissors.
I have the magnet on this one. I have it far away.
Yeah, I try to watch for her.
So I put everything away. I put away the ironing board, the iron, everything, because to just make more room around the table for people to get around and stuff. So I kept saying, well, I got to take all that out, and I guess subconsciously I just didn't want to iron. So what I did instead.
Because you're afraid of burning yourself?
No, but because when you're burned, when you get near heat, it hurts.
Oh yeah.
So what I did instead was I borrowed my sister's.
This sister, not that sister.
That sister.
Right. She lent me her Creative Grid square. I had purchased a square and I couldn't get it to work, and
She's
I
like, "This
finally
isn't
returned.
working. You need to help me." And I'm like, "This square sucks."
So yeah, the cheap comes out expensive. So
That's a good saying. That's a good saying. You need to make a T-shirt out of
that's
that.
Judge Million says that all the time.
The cheap comes out expensive.
Yeah, but she says it in Spanish. So I can look up the Spanish translation that she uses and put both. So the quilt squares that I showed you last week are all nice and trimmed.
Look at that.
Squares. And the only reason I haven't
The right tools.
the right tool for the right job. The only reason I haven't laid it out is I have to have a lot of space to lay it out, and her birthday's coming up and all that, and I just wanted to just not have to move it for a minute.
Yeah.
So, but once I lay it out and know which square I want where, it should sew up very quickly, because the squares themselves sewed up very quickly. Then
That's fun.
yeah, I kind of want you to come over and oops, my stack went.
And do what?
Just look at them when I'm laying them out.
I see.
So then
it's
I'm
all
doing
my
some quilt squares of, and I'll show you we'll put in a picture of this. This, remember she was showing you these books? The
Block magazine
Yeah.
by Missouri Star Quilt Company.
Yeah, so this quilt, and so it has a little laid out version right here, which you can see what the blocks will actually look like. And because the big quilt that I want to use is this, that I want to make for myself, is this pattern, and I haven't done this type of piecing in a gazillion years.
Gazillion? A gozillion?
Yeah, because I'm a gazillion and 10. So, these are the fabrics that are on this stack. I bought a fat quarter of these fabrics. So that's one of them. And here's another one. It doesn't have all of the colors. This fat quarter bundle doesn't have, I'm going to get some more, and I'll explain why in a second. And here's the reason I bought this fat quarter bundle, this color right here. I love these colors.
Oh, so this is your practice.
This is my practice quilt.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
one is your practice quilt, and this is a practice quilt.
Right, but that one I intend to keep as a quilt. And
I
this
see.
one
You're gonna make into bags or
I'm
something?
going to make into bags. So each square in this pattern will be 15 inches. And if I sew it into a bag similar to the ones you made us for Christmas that year, it'll be about 14 and a half inches wide. And whether or not I put one on the bottom depends on determine how long it is. And so
So I see. So that's your practice quilt to practice making a quilt, and this is your practice to practice those squares.
right,
I see.
because if I mess up one or two,
Yeah.
So, isn't this beautiful, this green? And they have these
Pretty.
little, like, moons on them. I'll show you an up close of the ones with the moons. Anyway,
The dog leaning on my leg.
the dog likes to come and sit. And she likes to sit on Beth, I think because she can smell the cat. Anyway, I cut all of these strips. There's 4-inch strips, 6-inch strips, and I think 8-inch
2.5.
strips.
Oh,
No,
right.
No, they're all by 2.5, but these are not.
That's what I meant. They're 2.5 wide by different
Right, because
lengths.
it's from using
The pattern calls for a jelly roll.
a jelly
Yeah,
roll,
yeah.
right? But I bought this at Joann's, and they only had the junior jelly roll, so it was half, so I had to buy 2. And then I bought some batik, just yardage so I had to cut these little 2.5-inch squares. And
Did you use my square to do those? Or?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's good, huh?
these 2.5-inch strips for the borders, and 4-inch squares for the middle of each square. So that's what I spent most of my week doing, was cutting
I got
instead
here and
of
she's
sewing.
like, I don't know what I did, Aldi. I said, you cut 1,000,000 squares. And she's like, oh yeah.
It's like, I don't have anything, I didn't sew, I didn't even look at my sewing machine. Well, I did look at it. I looked at it to say, what thread do I have in there? And so I have these, I almost took out my sewing machine to sew a square, and I said, you know what, if you take out that sewing machine, there's a whole bunch of other things you need to be sewing. So I didn't, but I'm going to have to purchase myself one of these. They're not inexpensive, but it was so easy to get a good clean line, and they have that anti-skid stuff on them.
Yes.
And
Yeah, so what I love, let me see that square. What I love about this square and the way creative, now, so Jenny Doan of Missouri Star Quilt Company says, it doesn't matter what square, what rulers you use one that makes sense to your brain, to your specific way of thinking, and this one does. And what I love about it is that on this side, it has half measurements. So if you need to cut a 4.5-inch square, you use the black numbers here, and they're on halves. And if you need an inch, to the inch, you can use these numbers. So I really like that about it, and it's very easy to place it, exactly where you need to, in here, and
Well, I used that to cut the 2-inch squares, and it was so easy.
Yeah.
To know I had it right.
yeah, exactly. So I love it, and and it has these. You can see the dots; those are non-skid dots, so it doesn't slide around.
But you can see through them.
and you can see through
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry, doggy. I kicked my dog. So,
So I really like that. And weren't you saying you have a mat with a hole in it? Yeah. But yeah, no, so, and oh, look here. I went off, I cut it once. I went off with the rotary cutter. I don't know how I did that, but so.
yeah, my straight edge for my mat.
Anyway, so I
it
highly
has little nicks in
recommend
it.
Creative Grids. I love them.
Yeah.
It's the only one I own, actually. I have a few Missouri Star quilt templates, and I have a big, maybe my big yellow one is Creative Grids.
Well,
Not sure.
I'm thinking about getting.
What I like about this
on
is
Fat
so
Quarter
versatile.
Shop, Fat Quarter Shop has a cutting mat that I think they have them in a couple of sizes, but I think it's 10-inch like that rotates.
Yeah,
And-
I want a rotating one.
And I don't need a huge rotating one, just for smaller things.
But
it'd
you
be
know what
nice.
you can do? This is what I do. Poor man's rotating cutting mat. I have a big, like 21 by maybe it's 18 mat that I use for most everything. And then I have that little original one that you gave me. It when I very first started sewing, you gave me an not OmniGrid. What's the Olfa cutter and an Olfa mat when I was getting
Yeah,
ready.
she was.
And
I was
so-
teaching her how to sew when she
So
was
I've had
going
that forever, and
She sewed her own wedding dress. That was her first sewing project.
yeah. So
Sorry, we paused for a second.
we paused for a second. Sorry. But she gave me a little Olfa cutter and an Olfa mat that's about maybe it's 14. No, it's not even 14 inches. It's maybe, I don't know. It's smaller. And so what I do is I put my small. If I have to cut something that I have to rotate, I put it on that, on top of the big mat, and just because it turns easily, so it doesn't have to be rotating. You can just, but since it's a little mat, you can turn it on your table and not be cumbersome.
I'm trying to decide if I want to get that or if I want to get a bigger mat. And because when I was cutting these fat quarters into these squares, I kept making the same mistake because I had to move everything over, because when I would try to cut, it would go through the hole. There's a hole in it that's like for hanging it on a pegboard at the store.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why is this hole in the marked area for for the for cutting?
Yeah.
And it's right at the 9-inch mark, which is where I needed to cut it. And I'm like,
Yeah, so I guess what I would do is I would buy a bigger mat, because I think that's going to be more versatile than a rotating mat.
well, it's more important for cutting the bags and everything.
Yeah, because even my big one, if I'm really having to, because you have to cut this way and then this way.
But
and
I
then,
also want one of these.
And then you have to cut on this side. I just turned my big mat.
Well, I can walk around this table.
Yeah, or walk around the table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's...
But, to walk around the table with the smaller mat, I'd have to pull it back to this side, and then the fabric moves. So,
Yeah, you gotta be...
you
careful.
gotta look at different things. So the other things I've been doing, I've been working on my June cross stitch pattern. I am
June or July?
July.
July.
So now I'm 3 days behind. But I got about halfway. This is going over the fold here, but it's just a line you can't see of where the box that the chicken is sitting in. I got one wheel done and the basket here. I was working on other things, when I was running around and doing things, and when we were at Rachel's house and stuff. So I just got a little bit behind on that. But today, I am working on When Witches Go Riding, the Halloween Sal from
Does that take
Tiny
you
Motters.
all the way to Halloween?
Yeah, it takes you to October. Yeah,
To October. Oh, wow.
yeah, because this is the first part, and then they have the second, third, and fourth, and the fourth comes out October 1st.
Oh, so how long do you have to do it? A month?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah,
Nice
so,
of you.
and I knew this month I wouldn't be rushing through it. Pattern Keeper never shows me backstitching lines, and there's a lot of backstitching lines in this. So, so right now I'm doing the last of the purple in this top portion. I hope there's purple in the rest of it because I really like this purple. I think there's purple here, the hat down the bottom. I think that's a hat. I don't know. It's faded out. So, that's me.
So you were talking about the Tiny Modernist Sal, and I sadly have like 3 patterns that were Sal's. The Daily Walk in the Woods I bought after it was a Sal, and it's still not done. And then I bought Santa's House, which is a Tiny Modernist Sal, and it's not done. And I bought Sleepy Hollow, which is a Tiny Modernist Sal, and it's not done either.
I was watching a Flosstube yesterday where someone was talking about some patterns like that, and she just got rid of the Tiny Modernist Sals, the Sleepy Hollow one.
Oh yeah?
She's like, I am never gonna do it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's really cute. I really like it. It's just a lot of stitching, and it's and like it suffered because of my tendency to like, oh, I'm gonna make this for so and so for Christmas, so everything gets pushed aside because I have to
Yeah, I was going to say, I was like, maybe you shouldn't do Sal's. But, the idea of a stitch along or a knit along or crochet along or whatever is fun. Like I had last August was my first knit along, and it was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I pretty much kept up. I think I had to cram a couple of weeks at the end to get caught up, but it was a lot of fun. And
you had something when you were done.
well, yeah, and everyone else finishes at the same time.
Well, son of a gun.
What was neat about knit-alongs is that everybody has different yarn, so you get to see people's different color combos that they do or whatever. And you're like, I like your color combo better than mine, but I think you have to kind of have a clear plate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I think if it was a whole month like that one, a month between clues, I might be able to.
If it was a week every clue, I never would have.
Or like that, you said the Daily Walk in the Woods was literally every day?
No.
Oh, no.
No. I didn't even know. I because it's just called that. I don't know because when I bought it, it was after the Sal had gone through, I think.
Oh, but maybe like they
Well,
gave
then,
maybe
then
you
it's
had
just
like,
a pattern. It's
maybe
not
you got
a
like
Sal.
7 trees for each
something
clue or
like
something.
that. I don't know. Yeah.
Where you
But
could,
like
where you could, but I thought you said like they said you could do 1 tree a day.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, she in the little notes that came with it. It says something about you like each tree is kind of like a mini finish, and it's true. So I was working on it kind of a lot when I first got it, and then again things get pushed aside, and the same thing with the Santa's House and the Sleepy Hollow. The Santa's House thing is a lot of stitching, and it's kind of the thing that's kind of difficult for me. That it's like a whole bunch of little, because of each little character. There's little elves, and there's Mr. Claus, and there's Santa Claus.
So, pardon me, but the complaint about about it being a lot of stitching, you stitch all day.
Yeah. I know.
So what does it matter what stitch it is?
Well,
Because it's because they're little bitty things.
Because you feel accomplished.
Well, see, like this one, it's little blocks of color or whatever, and as a matter of fact, one of the issues I had with this was my particular issue is that, but for me, like you know, because I'm kind of what is called a color completist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I can, I do as much of, you know, oh, this is in this color, and so is this, and so is this, and so if they're not too far apart, you know, I'm gonna do all the red, you know, and then all the blue, and then all, you know, whatever, right? And so, but the thing about the like the Santa's house thing, it's, you know, this little reindeer and this little elf and this little snowman and this little sled, and you know, so they're like individual little itty bitty things. So if you do like, you know, one character, then you do like, you know, 3 stitches of this color and 3 stitches of that color, and so it's a lot of like color changing or whatever. So, you know, so
that
you're
don't float your boat.
Yeah,
Or it
it's
makes
harder
it harder for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And whereas
That's all right.
like something like Sleepy Hollow is a little bit easier because you have like, you know, these are all black and these are all green and these are all orange, and so they're easier to make, for me, to make progress on, and to say,
Or to
okay, I've
feel
done all
like,
the grass,
yeah.
or I've done all, you know, the orange of the this orange of the pumpkins and whatever.
I found when I you know, I haven't done a lot of cross stitch, but I found that when I did that Farm Fresh eggs,
Mm-hmm.
I think I am I don't know what you will call it,
Motif.
like a motif completer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't care if it's one thread of this color, because what I would just do is I just hook it back. Now that I found thread drops, I would just hook it back right back onto the thread drop
Mm-hmm.
and just use that next, or plan like, okay, this is a little piece of white. When I get to this motif up there, I'm going to use that little piece of white up there. So
Yeah.
it made me feel better, and then when I completed a motif, I was happy. You know, it made me feel like that's whatever, I know. But that's what, like that Santa one, it's so
Yeah.
hard because it's like I don't like it.
Yeah, and well,
But I was gonna say, I think for obviously you have a bad track record with styles.
yeah.
So-
Well, you know,
And Sherry
it's-
was saying that she found that she just doesn't like Sal's, and she's not going to do them anymore.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's different pros and cons, because the pro is that, you know, you have sort of solidarity with your friends that are all doing the same pattern. You
Yeah.
know? And like you said, you know, it's fun to see other people's take on it, and you know, so you see other people's progress, and you have solidarity because, you know, like a lot of people do the caterpillar cross stitch, they do Sal's all the time, and so you have people doing, you know, everybody's completing this, and everybody's, you know, completing the different sections of it, you know, and they're saying, oh, I'm so far behind, or oh, I'm, you know, I already finished, or whatever, and everybody's posting their pictures of their progress, and so there's, you know, kind of a little everybody's doing it kind of thing, and some people really enjoy that, and but like I said, for me the problem was not so much, you know, even just concentrating on doing it. It was I mean, excuse me, not so much the motifs themselves, whatever, but the fact that, you know, I get all excited about doing it, and then I have to set it aside because I have this and this and this and this I have to do. So
I was going to say, so it'd
Yeah.
be better for you on a time of year that you have a clean slate, like January. If you could
Yeah.
find one starting in January.
That's why you've gotten so much work done on this one.
Yeah, because you have just a sort of clean. That's
Yeah.
what I keep longing for. Like, I don't know why I have multiple. It's because I have a short attention span. Excuse me. I have a short attention span, so I want to start something new. But then I get just buried, and it actually stresses me out. And I'm like, I know people who knit only one thing at a time. I don't know if I could do that.
Yeah, I used to do just one thing at a time, and now but when I think about it, you know, it's always been I'm painting or sewing or doing something, and I love learning new things.
Yeah, that's my problem. You know, like my box is also full of other crafts that I have dabbled, you know. And I always think, I want to do this, but if I really do that, then I really have to just do that. And so I like to dabble and like, but what I do enjoy right now, like I said, I have all my projects in bags on a coat tree, and a coat rack in my craft room. And so I kind of just like, what do I feel like working on today, you know? So, but yeah.
Yeah, well, like I said,
But so when sorry.
being a color completist has got me in trouble on this particular pattern.
But can you break yourself from it?
Well, you know, I have on occasion, but it, you know, just depends on, lost my scissor, on, you know.
I'm just saying, like,
what I'm
to
doing.
say.
And, you know, I probably could, I just have to have, you know, time to work on stuff. The reason this has worked for me is because my cross-stitch camp projects were small. And so I have, like, I haven't finished. My cross-stitch camp project is finished for July, and it's only I finished it yesterday, the 9th. So I have the whole rest of the month.
I almost commented on your post about that. I almost commented, brat.
So that's why I'm working on this. But like I said, late last night I realized I made a mistake because I thought, oh well, I could just do this red right here, and I counted and I counted and I counted to make sure it was in the right place, and it's in the wrong place. So yeah. So this is my my cross stitch camp project from the Heart Needle Art by Wendy mini spring. It came out in March, I believe, at the what do you call it? The expo. They did instead of Nashville Needlework Market. They did the Needlework Expo. But anyway, so this is it. I finished it. It's not ironed because
we'll insert a photo.
It's not ironed because she didn't want to take out the iron.
And the ironing board.
I'll wait until Eve.
Well, I thought. Well, Eve's always doing it. So she usually has the ironing board out, but she didn't have it. She didn't bring it back out since the 4th of July. You know, when she put everything away. So
of course, you didn't take it.
No. Well, I just assumed it was already out, and it wasn't. But
we'll put a picture of it.
Yeah, so this is mini spring. It's you know, and actually somebody asked me how I was going to finish it, and I really haven't. I'm not that far yet. I haven't even cut the fabric off of this bigger piece of fabric, but I'm probably going to do like some kind of a flat fold, like an an easel or something, kind of thing, or whatever, because the alternative would be to do a little frame like this, and I really kind of don't want to do that. I don't know. I could, because it fits a sort of standard size frame, I think, according to the instructions on the pattern. I think this is just a store-bought ready-made frame, whatever. So I could do that, but I don't know where I would put it or whatever. But it's just yeah. So there's that. So that's my July cross stitch camp project, and it's finished. And so so what I had been working on in between, like I worked on the end of June after I finished all my Black Oak Angels stuff. I worked on this pattern, Easter preparation. This is no longer Easter, but
it will be in.
Yeah. So I finished this half here with the painted eggs and the table and this mouse carrying off the painted egg, and so this half of the pattern is finished, and so I was working on this big bunny here, and I was doing this part, and it wasn't lining up with the banner the way I thought it was going to, so I counted it and recounted to make sure I didn't count his ear wrong or something like that, because actually I had done started on his on this bunny, and it had like left a row out, and so I had to redo it. And so anyway, so I was doing it, and I got up to this on this ear, and I realized I was one stitch off. And I looked at it, and it's this scarf, the little red scarf around his neck is
in
in the wrong place. It's one too low. And so
that's because that happened because you wanted to do the red next.
Yeah, because I did this red on this banner, and then I did this egg because it's very close, right? So that was fine. And then I thought, well, the scarf's just right there. And so in doing this, I miscounted by one stitch. I mean, one square.
You can't fudge it.
Huh?
You can't fudge it.
Yeah, I am going to fudge it because I went ahead and finished his head where it is, and I think I'm just going to have to add one row to his body down here.
Yeah.
What I was concerned with is like right next to this egg is the paintbrush that he's using to paint the eggs, right? Mm-hmm. So it has the handle of the paintbrush.
Uh-huh.
And so I was concerned that either I think
just make the paintbrush a little longer.
Yeah, I can make the paintbrush longer, and or his body, just add a row to his body.
I see.
So and part of the problem too is that I'll show you. I can't show the pattern to the audience, but it's right over the thing.
See.
So
over the split
pattern is
design.
it's split on 2 pages, and so right where the paintbrush and all that stuff is, and his arm is right where the pattern breaks, and so and that was another thing is that I couldn't because I couldn't quite tell like how far over am I in the right place, am I not, and so yeah, that's why I ended up making a mistake.
Making that boo-boos.
Yeah, but like I said, it's it's not catastrophic, so
It doesn't change the fate of the nation.
no. So, but like I said, this half of the thing is done all the way over here from the
That's so cute.
from the egg to the edge here to the
that way.
mouse.
Oh,
It's
I
all
see.
done. Yeah.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. So I just
Is there any
had,
back stitching or no?
no.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's the
So,
worst. So what's
yeah.
interesting, you're talking about stitch-alongs and knit-alongs. When you get a stitch-along, the next piece of it, you see the whole picture.
Well, it
Right?
depends. It depends on the. They're generally mystery stitch-alongs.
What I'm saying
But
is,
you get like
a piece-
so October 1st you get
The last one, you get the whole picture.
Yeah.
right. But what I'm saying is, you get to see what it is you're about to stitch, obviously.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But in a knit-along, you just get the instructions.
Mhm.
So people are like well, like don't put spoilers like on the Facebook page of what you just knit up, because you're looking at the written written instructions. You don't know what that actually looks like until you knit it up, because I mean, unless your brain works that way, if you're just reading, knit 5, do this, you don't know how the colors are going to play or how it's going to look until somebody actually knits it up and then puts up a picture.
Oh, I
So it's really a mystery. As you're knitting it, you're discovering what it's going to look like. It's kind of cool.
You really have to trust the designer.
Yeah, well, that's what
Well,
people
that's what some
she'll
people-
tell us. Like she told us about last time in this one, it's a shawl, and it's rectangular, and it's about 20 inches wide or whatever. So she gives us those parameters, like so kind of. I don't want another triangle shawl, or I don't, so you can figure out if you want to do it. And it was but it's also so much fun because Casapinka does like little cocktail recipes and funny stuff all throughout the stuff. So it was kind of fun.
With stitch-alongs, some people don't want to do mystery stitch-alongs because I think like the Lori Holt thing, what is it?
Flea market flowers.
Yeah. I think the whole
How
pattern.
many people did that?
A lot of people did that. But I think in that one, the whole pattern was available. It was just like, everybody was stitching the whole pattern at the same time, and so that's very different from like a mystery stitch along, where like that one where you get like one section and then the rest of it is blurred out, so you don't know what the whole thing looks like.
Well, I was more willing to do this mystery. I kind of wanted to do the mystery stitch along on Fat Quarter Shop with the, I think it was called Sail Away. But I'm like, some sea stuff I think is really cute, and others I'm like, eh.
Yeah, so like,
And so I didn't want to because I couldn't see the picture.
yeah, some people don't want to do it because they can't see what the whole thing is going to look like. And again, you might not like the colors, or you might not like the style or whatever. So so you might not want to do it. And here you've spent all this time doing it, and you don't like the finished product or whatever. So they don't want to do that sort of thing. They'll make, a lot of times they'll wait until all the parts of it will come out. They're not really doing a stitch along there, but they're doing the pattern. And at this point, that's kind of how I am. It's like, yeah, okay, because and matter of fact, the Sleepy Hollow, I still really, really want to do. I'm a little bit, lost my mojo on the Santa's house thing. It's cute, but I'm not as compelled as I am with. I worked on both of them as part of Mania this year, because I did a whip mania, so I did all they're among my whips, and so when it came to Sleepy Hollow, I worked on it, and I worked on really kind of just the black. I finished. There was like a crow and some various things that were all in black, and that's really all I did. But it made me really want to finish it. I just didn't have time because I only worked on it one day, I think, or something like that. I had 21 whips and 21 days. So I only worked on it one day, but I was like, oh man, I really want to work on that. But that one, one of the reasons I wanted to do it was that you could finish it either as one big sampler kind of thing, or you could do it in like as 4 little drums, and that's kind of what I was wanting to do with the drums, just to do something different. And I don't know, I was trying to like guesstimate like the fabric, to finish them, to make sure that I had enough fabric for the designs, and I still don't know if I'm going to do that. But
one of the reasons why I was willing to do the Tiny Modernist Mystery Sal is because I've done Tiny Modernist before, and I look at all her designs. They're all really cute, and I like so many of them that I would go broke if I wanted to buy them all. And then it showed a little the little skeleton who was so cute. And I'm not real. When Robert was little, I would decorate for Halloween. I had a little witch where it's probably in a box somewhere that had a little heavy seat part, but it was a cloth witch, and I would sit it up somewhere. And I had a pumpkin that had a little candle to light up the face, and I would put all this stuff out. I would decorate, but he was little, and now we buy candy knowing we're not going to have any kids come over. When we were on Baylor Street, we made some pumpkins out of old milk jugs. They were cute. We put those glow lights in them.
When we were kids, our mom used to take and stack like two tables, little tables, and like put our
a sheet over it, over the 2 tables.
To be like a ghost, and then put the pumpkin on the top, the
jack-o'-lantern.
Right
in the front door. I love that.
And and so then we had the bowl of candy tucked behind the sheet, of the pumpkin statue thing.
But You used
But,
to get a lot of kids back then.
Yeah. In our neighborhood, there were a lot of kids. Yeah. Anyway, so the other thing I did, and I don't have it here in front of me, but that blessed pattern that I did for my mom, it has a little patch of grass. I've talked about this a couple times. The sheep charms that I bought for it and everything. And so I was thinking about working on that too. Since I have the whole month, I thought I could do some finishing stuff. And so I was wanting to match that green of the to match a fabric on the back. And so I was looking at my finishing fabrics, and I have this green. I had some other greens that didn't really weren't the right shade of green. This one I didn't look closely at. I didn't find this one until this morning. But I have to hold it up and see if it matches the green of the grass. I kind of don't think that this one does. The grass is a darker green, and the willow is a little bit lighter green. So it might match the willow, but not the grass. And I don't know. I haven't tested this one yet. And I have this mossy chenille trim from Lady Doc Creates. So I have this green, and so I bought on 1 2 3 Stitch. They had some green fabrics, velveteen or whatever that from Lady Doc Creates. So I couldn't tell, from the picture, if any of them matched. So I just went ahead and bought all three. And so somehow, I'm gonna see if I can find a matching green color. And if not, I'll do something else. If none of them match, because this mossy chenille is might be appropriate. So if I can find something that that it goes with, I'm gonna do that. And the other thing I wanted to work on this month, possibly since I'm almost done with the Easter parade, is this Priscilla's Pocket snowman.
Oh, that's cute.
And it came with this piece of cloth, but I need to iron it again before I can. I think I need to start in the center of this design. I was looking at it because otherwise, try to use my corner gauge. It has these little stars basically in the corner. So I think the best thing would be to start in the middle, because it would be right around where the little buttons are on his tummy, and I could do that. But I need to, the fabric is very soft and floppy and stretchy, so I need to iron it and then just a little hoop.
That's cute.
Yeah, so that's my other July project. And then the thing that we did the other day, we were at Hobby Lobby, of course.
Of course.
And I was
Tell
walking.
the truth. You go once a week.
A little more than that.
Just
Well,
depends
sometimes
on-
we go to Hobby Lobby and Joann's and Michael's in the same week.
Just depends on what we need.
I'm just asking for a friend.
So I was walking through their fabric section, and they had some fabrics on sale. And they have this on sale.
It's pretty.
It's nautical stuff.
Nautical.
Nautical. Little ships and
Wheels
and stuff like that, and little birds.
Do you use the other project bag I made for you, or just the elephant one?
No, I use it. Yeah, it has a project. It just has a whip that I'm not working on right now.
And what's that? Just blue flecks?
And yeah, and then this
They
is
look
just,
like tiny-
we're looking for
look like-
something.
It
Yeah,
had
we're
to be
looking
the
for-
same weight.
They look like miniature states. I was like, is that Virginia? What is that? Rhode Island? I see
Yeah, we're like
Vermont,
saying-
New
yeah.
Hampshire.
Because this is a heavier weight.
Yeah, it's
fabric.
a heavyweight, like almost canvas, And so we were trying to find something similar weight, and the fabrics that went with it is, that were possible candidates were a lighter weight. So
They were
yeah.
just.
And the benefit
cotton.
of this flecky fabric was it was on sale also.
Yeah.
So
That.
Yeah, she's. I had to. I don't remember why I had to go back outside or something, and I came in and Beth was like, "I need to show you something."
And then, so when we were looking, we found this. This is more camping fabric, and this to go with
That's,
it.
oh, those are nice.
Yeah.
Those little squares.
Yeah,
Not
because
dots.
all
It's
the
that
colors
same
of the
that same palette.
yeah, all the colors of this are
I keep
matchy
losing
matchy.
track. That's why I keep counting and counting and counting. Cause, well, it's also I'm in a dark corner right here,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
this is my iPad, which has a pattern on it, is backlighting my knitting, and so I'm like I cannot see.
But I bought this little box just so I always have all these little doodads. But and then I came across these charms that were on sale. They're just little circles with a cross cut out in them. So I bought a handful of these 3 were on sale, and I bought all 3 of them. And then I found this kitty fabric. And I had to buy because it was kitties. It's very cute. I don't know. I don't have any plans for it, but it's very cute.
It's so cute. Oh my gosh, I'll put a picture of this.
But you should have bought green fabric.
Yeah, well, I didn't think about it at the time.
Yeah, that's
I
why
just-
we go to Hobby
Well,
Lobby
actually,
so
I
often.
kind of
It's
looked and I
adorable.
didn't really see anything, but yeah. So I didn't buy yardage for it, but yeah. So I bought this little box
3, 4,
because
5.
I'm sure I'll find something to put in it.
So do we have stories this week?
Do I have stories this week? Well, let's see. Yeah, well, I melted my father.
Oh yeah.
Actually,
And my
she melted
son.
herself more than Dad.
And myself. So I had this wild hair. I've been wanting to take my dad fishing a lot this year, and so there's a lake nearby.
There's more
It's-
than one lake in there.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this lake is close.
Yeah.
But it's not into the mountains. I mean, it is in the middle of the wilderness, but it's not. The elevation is not. It's pretty low elevation. And I went out actually after we recorded last week. My husband and my son and I drove to this lake because I didn't want to take my dad sight unseen. I wanted to find exactly where we wanted to go. And but that day it was stormy and monsoon storms, and it was cloudy and windy. So, and it was warm, but it wasn't gross hot. And we went down there and we found a good place to fish that would be easy for my dad to access and everything. So I was like, okay. So then I'm thinking, okay, well, it's 4th of July weekend. We can't go right now. So let's wait. And I thought, well, I had a good day on Tuesday and a good day on Thursday to go. And I thought Tuesday's too close to the 4th because everyone's still off on Monday, and they'll probably all, because when we went, it was packed full of people. So I thought, well, if we wait till Thursday, it'll probably be empty. Well, I didn't want to wake my dad up super early, but I picked him up at 7, and it's like an hour drive. By the time we got to where we were going to fish, it was 8:30. And 8:30 in the morning, it's supposed to be not too bad, right? It was so hot. And we were out there on what's called the flats, which is just gravel, basically, and there's the water. And you'd think, okay, you're by the water. It didn't help. And I even walked into the water because my son was like, maybe if I got in the water, I wouldn't be so hot. I'm like, no, it's like a bathtub. At least where it was shallow right there, it was very warm. And there were a few people camping and swimming and stuff, and I thought, that's a good idea. But it was so, and stupid, I didn't bring, I had chairs, and I used to have chair umbrellas, but I had to get rid of them all because they were, they had started to fall apart.
Yeah.
But I never replaced them, which that would have at least helped to have some shade. And so we were just, and then at one point, so what my whole goal was, I'm like, I am not going to catch a fish. I just want to practice my fly fish casting. And I wasn't tying my knots right because I lost one fly. and then this other one, all of a sudden, I've been trying to cast and stuff, and all of a sudden the fly's floating at me, free of my line. It's here, it comes floating back to me. I was like, well, at least it came back. So I had gone up to the truck to try to my car to try to retie it, see what was going on. And this woman comes up, and she's like, I was wondering, she asks my son first, and then my dad, and then finally gets to me, because they were just in her sight, you know. And if we could come jump her truck. She says, my battery overheated. And I'm thinking, oh, that doesn't sound right, but okay. She's like, it's happened before. And I'm like, no, that's called a dead battery, darling. But so she's like, my truck's just up there on the cliff, you know, just it's a little drive away. So I'd leave my dad and Eli there. And I agreed to do it because she was by herself. And, you know, she said she had dogs in the car and they were roasting and she was trying to leave. And so I drove up there, burnt the heck out of my hand because brand new car, right? I just got it in May, and we had opened the hood of one at the dealership, but I'd never opened the hood of this one. So I figured it out, opened the hood, and it needed the stick, right? So I went to grab the stick. I didn't notice the nice little foam handle on it that prevents you from burning yourself. But I grabbed the metal, and I'm like, ow, 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 ow. And then I couldn't find the hole to put the stick. And I'm burning this hand on the hood and this hand on the stick. And then I see the big arrow. Oh, duh. And I put it there. And then we jumped her car. But it took forever for her to get enough juice for my car. And she's like, give it just a minute.
FYI, batteries don't last here.
No, the heat kills them. And
I had a 5-year battery that died before 3 years was up.
Yeah. And the heat just kills them. Mm-hmm. So
when I first moved here, my
your battery died.
My battery died the day of my first job interview. You know, I came out in October, and I was, you know, trying to get a job right away and everything, and I went out to my car and it was like, click.
Yeah,
I was like, and I called. Fortunately, Naomi was home. I said, Naomi, I have an interview.
But so, and she's like, yeah, you know, it just gives it, give it a minute. And I'm like, honey, I didn't say this, but I'm thinking you need to drive into Carefree, which is the town right there. Like, and you need to buy a battery immediately. Because I looked at her battery and I could see it is old. And it's not overheating, honey. It's dead. And you keep jumping it and it keeps dying. That's ding, 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 ding. Anyway, so we finished that. And then I drove back down and my dad was sitting, he had his line out in the lake, but he's sitting in the chair. And I walked over and I put my hand right here on his chest and he was hot. I'm like, Dad, like I melted you. So so we gave up soon after. We'd been there just a couple hours, but it was brutal. And so you know, I was like, you need to eat something, Dad. No.
Well, when you're really hot, you don't want to eat.
But part of hydration is eating.
I know.
So anyway, there was a little marina nearby, and I bought him a Gatorade. He drank that, so that was good. But boy, I was wiped out the rest of the day. I was really done in, and so that was my my adventure. And on that was Thursday. But on Wednesday, I said we had a craft day. I'm going to put in pictures of the craft day. We just took a few pictures, but that was real nice, and had lunch together and stuff. And I don't think I had any other crazy experiences this week, did I?
I don't know. It's been a pretty quiet week.
It's been a quiet week except for the lake debacle. But you know, it's just talking about whips. I've been pretty diligently working on either this shawl or those two little kid sweaters. I got to the sleeve separation of the Oliver Green sweater, and then last night was working on the rainbow sweater, just adding length now, so that's exciting. I only have a couple inches to add, so it's not too bad. And I saw this tutorial on knitting backwards instead of purling. You know, I'm like, I don't want to purl. Apparently you can knit backwards. It's a little, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe it's more trouble, but it's kind of an interesting thought. But I don't mind purling that much. But so I'm just trying to get these 3 whips are the ones I really want to try to get as much done on before the August 15. That's like my deadline in my brain. But yeah, other than that, I'm just sitting around waiting for my birthday. I'm not one of those people who's like, I don't want to get older. I don't care. I'm going to get older. It doesn't matter whether I want it to or not.
Yeah.
I keep looking at the Missouri website,
Missouri Star Quilt Company.
Yeah.
My favorite.
So I showed you those charm packs that I bought.
Oh, yeah.
Well, not too long ago. Their shipping isn't as fast as, some other, it's reliable,
Sorry,
but,
my phone's dinging.
it takes a little bit
apologize.
longer. And so I haven't arrived yet, but I bought some, I think they're the same color. They're not the same pattern, but they're solid.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that'll look nice, and put those together, because I bought 2 of those patterned ones before, and now I have 2 more. And so that'll end up being actually a lot of fabric, and I could make something out of that. So
what I do when I have like a particular cut that I like a layer cake, or like when I bought those gnome layer cakes, you can go on their YouTube channel.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
and search by cuts.
yeah,
I
just
love
I was thinking I would just sew them together to make some kind of project bag or something,
Yeah.
not necessarily a quilt or anything.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
the other thing on my mind. I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna finish these. I'm gonna do my mystery knit along, and then I'm not gonna let myself cut that gnome fabric until after, because if I do that, I'll get all distracted, and you know how I go. You know how I am.
Yeah. I just there was a layer cake on a daily deal, and I was like, oh, I like that.
I know. It's
Better not.
It's a disease.
And I'm not positive I bought the layer cake with the camping fabric. I might have.
Oh, no. No. But
And so I'm trying to stop spending so much money. I did
Famous
buy
last words.
I did buy some. I was with her. I was the one that wanted to go to Hobby Lobby. And I spent some money, and to be honest, I have no idea on what. But but it wasn't a lot of cross stitch stuff, so it's not,
I was gonna say that
art supplies and
the
stuff.
the finishing of this spin really kind of inspired me. And last night when I was done with my Robert just yelled or something. I think he's playing a video game or something. I just heard him. At first I was like, somebody hurt? No, that's Robert. But I after I finished my knitting, and I was watching Jack Reacher, but I wanted to finish watching my movie, so I started. So I had finished this already, but I was inspired, and I was thinking about that sweater again, that my big sweater project in my mind. I spun up that first gray skein of the Esau Jacob wool, and I have another Esau package, and it's darker gray-ish, but it's still lighter than the Naomi wool, right, that I had talked about before. So I decided to start spinning that again, and I thought, you know what, it is a little scratchy, but I'm gonna make that swirl jacket with it, and I'm just gonna do it, and if I never wear it, I'll be proud of the spin of it. But and then I was like, I really should do that coat in this stuff, because this is so soft and alpaca-y. But I'd have to. I'm thinking maybe, because I bought these two bumps last spring. I think it was last spring, and I haven't asked if they have any. And I know I can order it from their shop up north. And I'm like, maybe I should start gathering this up for a big, I don't know what, sweater project, something. So I just love this. I just love this yarn, this wool so much. Fiber, whatever it is. Anyway, so I just have all these plans in my mind, and I cannot stop starting things. But anyway, so in the near future, I'm working on these I have 3 knit projects. This shawl, those 2 baby sweaters. And then hopefully by August 15th, I'll be done with at least one of them, or both of them, or three of them. I don't know.
Well, I keep making mistakes, so it must be time to quit.
Yeah, it is.
I was, last night when I picked this up instead of I thought, well, I could start this snowman, because I'm done now. I can, and I wanting to do this for just like say Jolly July, since it's just a Christmassy thing. But I thought, well, okay. First of all, the linen is wobbly, and so I creased from being in the package, and so I want to iron it and refold it and whatever to find the center. And I thought, well, then I gotta find like a piece of thread or something to mark the center with, I think, or whatever, because the stitching is like not on the center,
Right.
it's off. And I thought, I really hate starting a project like that. I like it when it's going. I like going at it, but I hate all the fussling around with starting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, I love starting. That's the finishing I'm not so good at.
Well, I realized that I'm good at stitching stuff up, but I'm lousy at finishing things. I have no imagination when it comes to like I said, somebody asked me, what are you going to do with it when you finish? I'm like, I don't know. It's like when I finished college, and my teacher asked me, so what are you going to do after you graduate? And I'm like, go to graduate school? I don't know. But, but like I have a bag of stuff that, it's my version of the under the bed box of, stuff that I've stitched or finished and just haven't FFO'd. And, so I'm just,
Well, you know what you could do, Beth?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, hold on. I'm going this way. Okay, good. You could, when you finish your cross stitch camp, then you could use the remainder of the month to finish your things.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. That's why I ended up buying that, ordering that Lady Doc Creates fabric. Because I've been thinking about, because I want to finish that, especially that blessed thing. I want to finish it and get, because I'm going to do a pillow to match. I guess last year, for my mom's birthday, a year ago, I had done the Lindy Stitches A Mother's Heart. A Mother's Heart is black and blue, bruised from loving ever true. And I had done that for my mom as a pillow, and it's a heart shape. If you finish it according to the instructions or the chart, it comes with a little heart template. And I had to kind of increase it a little bit because I did mine on 28 count fabric, and the model was stitched on 32 count, and the little template was made for 32 count. So I had to enlarge it a little bit. But anyway, so I did that little pillow for my mom for her birthday, and so now it's on our couch there. And so I had done this blessed pattern for my mom. So I want to make a little pillow to put to put beside it. Yeah. So I have that plans for that already in my head. I'm sort of slowly formulating it, and so I thought since I'm done with my camp project, that I can work on doing some finishing for the rest of this month.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Well, we have,
and this is almost finished too.
It's almost finished.
So yeah,
we have talked your ears off, and I got some rows done.
Yeah.
I love this, and it's really lightening up. It's going to get lighter and lighter and lighter. It's going to be cool. But anyway, so I got some work done, and you made some mistakes, and
I made a lot of mistakes, but I have got a little bit done.
So
I got
we hope your crafts are going along. You're whipping your whips, and you're starting your starts and you're doing your SALs and your CALs and your MKALs and your and but we're so glad you joined us this week, and please like and subscribe and share our videos and keep an eye on our channel. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.